Yo. What's up? So, alright. So, at our monthly close, closed outside of our range. What's up, Joey? Yo. I got really busy last week, so I didn't get any outlook updates out. But this week's looking good, so I should be good. Sunday, I didn't have any information for what I wanted to see. So, I like to do my outlooks on Mondays instead of Sundays, but that's just where I'm at right now. So, just at April close or March close or into April now. So, this was a really good monthly close for what I wanted to see. Got a nice bullish close. We finally broke outside of this nasty range 12 months that we were holding the resistance that we kind of held over here. That was a previous support over here. And then we had support resistance here, whatever. And then we tapped into the top of this range. So we broke out of this range. I think this was all last week. Broke out of the range and into this range and then tapped the top of this. So the last place we really need to clear, I think when I do that, that's going to come back. So those are kind of the levels I'm looking at, paying attention to. But right now we are in this range here. Change that color so we can see it. But something that's really, there we go. Right. So we're in there. This is kind of our range we're in. Same over here. There's our wick. There's there. Right. So that's where we're in, where we were kind of rejecting here, a little bit here. This wick came down there. So then our next range, once we push up, we got a weekly level up here. So we got a nice move right here, kind of right next to. So once we can, I mean, ideally, once we break monthly close high, in my eyes, I would be seeing that we are leaving this range and pushing into this range, and then we got a nice almost 600 pips, so that'll be really nice candles to trade next to on the monthly. So that should make the higher time frames have nice candles to trade next to. The lower time frames tend to move much nicer. So like if when we were trading in this bit over here, the 30-minute, the 1 hour, the 4 hour, they were just kind of doing lots of stuff like that. Where now, once we get into this area, we'll ideally see more stuff like that. A little easier to trade, a little less range. We had a breakout on the monthly, and if we look, like most candles, we're gonna need a bottom wick. So I'm expecting a retest, a wick to come down, retest these top of this range here, bottom of this range, and then start pushing back up to the top, which would ideally be a wick fill. So we'll come back, retest, and then push back to the top of the range. What I'm looking for on this monthly candle. But with that being said, the only way that I see, because this could just go without any sort of retest. So if we do that, then we should not break this low. If we break this weekly low, then looking at the monthly, the weekly, everything down, I'm expecting a retest of this level to then push back up. Assuming we reject here, I'm assuming we're going to, just because it was such a strong level. If we don't, then we're back inside of this and it's more nonsense. But with the monthly close, it looks like we should be good. So if we break this low here, ideally, we're going to look for some support. This 150 157, 158 area to then push back up to the top of the range and then fill that wick. So if I put my levels on real quick, so kind of what I'm looking at here. Got some minor levels there. Got the monthly wick. Got another, this is kind of our monthly resistance. That was that range we were talking about over here. Look at it here. This was that weekly area that I was drawing all those circles and lines on. This is there. Same thing here. That's that. And then going up to, it's still not nice traffic, but we got a wick to fill most recent. So that'll more than likely get pushed up. But like I was saying, if we break that low, that is going to be, to me, if we break the low, we're pushing to retest. If we don't and we push up, we break the high, then it kind of left without a retest, or we could say this was maybe the retest, because we have really good daily support here, so I don't know if we're going to get under that. But if we break this high here, then we're into this range up here on the higher time frame. We look at the daily. So the reason for what I'm saying on the monthly and the week is because of this right here on the daily. So we had daily support here. This is last week or the week before. We made support here, pushed up, created a high, and that was kind of the end of the month, leaving a wick after we broke this main range. And then we came back down to support last week and rejected support and are now pushing back up. So you have this minor level up here, kind of where, if we clear this, we have this area here that we're kind of getting stuck at. So once we get above there, we should get a nice move up and then finish filling the range, which would be up to about here. Then this is kind of into the next range, the highest point of that rejection up there. We need to get above that smaller level, but if we don't break this support and we keep rejecting it and we don't crack those lows, because that's our weekly wick, then I'm expecting a move continue up. But if we do break here, we also just need to remember, what up, Gesman? How's it going? Am I back? Not like before. Definitely not like before. Just kind of easing into it, doing some outlooks, throwing some ideas out there, stuff like that. Kind of how I'm looking at the market now. Maybe more regular live streams in the future is the plan. But for now, just kind of easing back into it after that long year break. But so like here, we break here, we have a clean candle here. But we got to remember that the weekly and the monthly, we only have, we'll say, a clean move, maybe down to there, like 70 pips, because based on the weekly and the monthly, we're still very bullish. So is it worth it to sell here to here for that little bit when we're expecting support here? To me, no. I would just be waiting for the buys. So appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Got a lot of new kind of stuff, just a new perspective, I guess, on how I'm looking at it. Definitely more effective, but we'll kind of see that as the outlooks go and things tend to play out and go in our favor and the ideas are working, then that'll make more sense. It'll kind of speak for itself. I'm just not gonna call any trades or do any trading. It'll just be kind of what I'm looking at. And if you watch it and you see it, and then you go through the week and you're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that's kind of what we did. Super simple, just top-down analysis, nothing special at all. Anyways, so yeah, breaking these lows, that weekly wick, but then we come back into here. So this is that retest. If we get under here, then we're expecting a retest here. If we don't, and we continue to move up, then we're going to expect the wick fill. And then once we crack the wick, we're into our next range up here, which is really, really nice. So that's what I'm looking at. We got our daily close on the bullish daily close. That's what I was kind of waiting for. Monday's kind of just set up my smaller time frame levels that I'm looking at. So, but that's kind of the higher time frame view. Is I'm looking very bullish, very, very bullish. What would make me change back to sells? What would change my bias for sells? I mean, even if we close back in here, we would need to change structure on the weekly for me to be like, okay, we're gonna get some sells, and then maybe, I mean, that's a long ways away. So I mean, I don't even know. I guess we'd have to start breaking 150 level and then breaking 149 for me to be convinced for some longer term sells. Like, yeah, maybe we sell Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or maybe we sell all week and part of next week. But overall, I'm seeing highs. So 4 hour now, this is kind of so that daily level that I kind of marked. I was drawing right here that we see that we're kind of moving up, but we have this potential area here. So, what's up, AM? Appreciate it. Glad to be back. I missed it. This is fun. So, one of the new things I'm kind of doing, if you were here before, we always used to look immediately left, which we do, and that was the extent of it. But after getting more in depth with the trades, and you can see I got lots of Excel sheets that track everything I do trading, so it's extremely detailed. Very, very big data sample size to go off of. I noticed a lot of my trades, if I was clean in what I call this row 1, which is that immediate traffic to the left, my row 2, which is the next row to the left, which is just, so here's 1, there's 2, just to the left, nothing crazy. Smaller time frame, we'll go over it. This looks a little messy, but so this row 2 here has a little bit of an issue, and we saw that wick there had an issue, and then this wick here pushed up, stopped there, pushed up. We still didn't close above there, so we definitely need to see a close above there. 4 hour would probably work. Maybe 1 hour during like right at a market open, like NY, NYC, London, probably London to be honest with GJ. That would be good to start moving up and fill this to the left up here. But that's kind of one of the new things is row 1, row 2. I'll show you on the smaller time frame because it looks a little easier to see. Those candles are messy. But here's the 4 hour level I'm looking at. So we're kind of just ranging right here. And this was last week where we kind of made resistance. We had that break, retest of this range, and we came down. Now we're back up underneath this range. If you look right here, we're kind of just ranging here. So we had our little range here, break, retest, and I don't really like watching people do this either, so I'm gonna try and do this really quick because it's obviously like this is the stuff that already happened. Like obviously this is what happened. Like we can all see it. So I'm not really a huge fan of doing that too much anymore. But based on this information here, that is what I'm basing this move up here that I expect to get filled if we can close above here. So I'm going to try not to talk through everything that's happened already because we all have eyes, we all can look at it, and it's really not serving any purpose to just talk about what happened. Like that doesn't really prove or show anything. It's already there. We're not, you know. So, but that's why this level here is important because we have this. We're just ranging here right now. We haven't really. We tapped it on the 1 hour once, I believe. But last week we had this rejection here at the bottom of this range after we broke out. So that is, and then we also have resistance, resistance, resistance here. That's why this area over here is significant to get above and then start moving up. And as you can see, once we get above here, we're kind of back into this range here, which we rejected, and then we got underneath. Now we're underneath, we're ranging, pushing up. So we get into there, we should fill that range. And if we get above here, we should have a nice, really nice move on the higher time frame up here. Measure. We got 130 pips or so in there. And then we got another, at least up to that monthly level, so that we don't want to forget. Clean 100, 110. So, see if I can find a row 1, row 2 real quick to just kind of explain it a little bit better. Because it was mostly for my higher low, lower high setups that I was using. So like, okay, so I guess this one works. So if we're looking left right here, clear all this. If we're looking left, let's just like completely random, just ignore the time or whatever, right? And definitely not an entry, but just bear with me. So if let's say we get above this little bearish guy here, we're going to take a buy. And if you've been on the old streams, you know that, oh, we have clean traffic right here to the left. Should be good up to here. Now the new or the added thing, or the thing I definitely should have been looking at, is row 1 is clear. Row 2, first issue is right here. And if we look, price rejected at that row 2 area right here. And that's where we formed our resistance and then continued our bearish structure. So that's not the greatest example, but that's basically the newer, one of the new things that I'm looking at is row 1, row 2, just because looking too far left, like if I were to go like, oh, over here, 100 weeks ago, we rejected there like that. I didn't really like that stuff. For the most part, if you went down to the 30-minute, those levels were there in some sort. You just had to know how to find it, whether it was a really long wick or a doji candle or something. The information was there if you knew how to find it. So that's the row 1, row 2. Then the other new thing that I really, really like that kind of changed the game for me personally in terms of consistency was these, I always mess it up, these vertical lines. So right here, these guys, the only purpose they serve, start of the week, end of the week. So if for whatever reason you did not go to the weekly, or let's just say you just couldn't interpret the weekly enough to understand where we were going, all you do, I like the 1 hour to kind of see it all, but I mean I got a wide monitor, so you can see a little bit more. But if we look, so start of the week, right? We pushed up, okay. So Monday, I'm thinking, all right, we got some buys. We come back in here, we maybe get some buys there. Otherwise, this guy here, once we were bullish, we would have broken above. I was looking for buys. Never happened, and then I was just kind of waiting and watching. So Monday, we started here. We pushed up. So Monday, looking for buys, right? And then coming down. Now Tuesday, or this is Monday Asian. Now we're creating this resistance here at this level, and then here and here. So Tuesday we're ranging, still no direction and bias. We're looking to see if we get above here, then we should continue, fill that high we made on Monday, and then maybe push higher. Or if we break here, which I was not even really looking at because I was just expecting buys, so I was just waiting for us to get back above here. And then price broke down here. So if you just look at, we'll just say end of there. So we'll go here. Okay. So if you just look at this information here, because the purpose of it is to break up the weekly candle, so you can see start of weekly candle, end of weekly candle on these smaller time frames without having to go like this. You can just see this is what the weekly candle is currently doing. And if we look, after we created the high, created a lower high, but also just kind of, so we're ranging in there. So if we get above there, we should continue with buys for the week. If we get below, which I was not even concerned with or thinking would happen, but it did, then we could maybe see some sells. Then we look here, skip through to the next New York session. Now looking at it, even with New York, so we see this here, right? Oh, we should look for buys. But if you look at your week, and this is just for visual, this is not something I don't really draw trend lines. Every time we pulled back, do this. Every time we pulled back, so Mondays we were thinking buys, right? So this is kind of just the start, the high of the week we're expecting to retest. And then we create this, and then this, and this. So we're just ranging. Then we break out of the range. Now we create a low. So if we just look, and you can see all of this as it's happening, going like this. So when you're seeing this on Monday, Tuesday, when you're seeing this on Wednesday, and you see all of this from Monday, Tuesday, you just think, okay, let's just wait for buys. And then once this little trend here breaks, then we sell it again. So that's pretty much the purpose for those vertical lines, is just to split up the weekly candle into the smaller time frames, to then be able to trade what I call like the the trend of the week. So we're trading with the overall trend, but we're also making sure we're trading with the trend of the week. So like last week, super simple. Start of the week, end of the week. Don't worry about structure or anything. Did the week end higher or lower than the start of the week? Ended higher. And even as we're going throughout the week, if you look at it Tuesday, are we higher or lower? We're higher. So we just kind of look for buys until that changes. Same thing here. Here, we're higher. Okay, so we're waiting for buys. Maybe some buys there, whatever. I don't know what you're looking at. And we get this range. And then it's just the same thing. Here, where we started here, now we're here, but we have this, so a potential retest of the high. Otherwise, we're going to stay in the range until we break. We break the range, so now here, we're lower than we started for the week. And now here, we're lower, even lower than where we were earlier in the week. So it's just the same thing. Now, wait for the sells. Price continues down. And sells pretty much worked on anytime a low was created and there was a pullback and you got a bearish hourly candle, if it broke the low of that bearish hourly candle, and it's in a session, not one of these ones out here, that candle worked for the most part. But that's what these lines are, is just to split up the week. And then I think towards the end of the week, we went bullish, and then you can see there with these lines as well, because then you know what information is important. So if you don't have these lines, you're maybe trying to use all of this information. But for what I like to see, since they're only scalping 20, 30, I mean, if runners go, they go, but 20, 30 pips for the first TP here break-even area. I've found that looking at the weekly candle, writing the trend of the weekly candle, kind of puts that higher time frame on your side for the trend of the week. Because even in an uptrend, a weekly pullback, there's still plenty of good moves on the hourly and 30-minute. So, but I believe here, I think we went bullish at the end of the week a little bit. You'll see the structure change. Then based on your week of information, because that's all you really look at, everything inside your lines, you'll see like price starts to go up and break structure. So you hear this move, you're breaking structure from coming down, kind of bottomed out for the week there. So pretty much it. So now for this week here, looking at it with the information, kind of the same thing. The way I'm laying this out is where we started the week. This is our range we're in. If we get above, I'm expecting to fill this here, push to the top of this range over here, get a nice move there. And then with that information, if that happens for the buys, let's say we get up to there. This was our starting point. This is where we are now. We higher or lower, we're looking for buys. Next thing we're looking for is maybe another break or a pullback, another higher low to there, or maybe another retest here. It should still maintain structure. So we might come back down here, do some ranging, still respecting structure, break out the top of the range and move back up, and then push up here, another little minor range, push back, test the high, kind of thing. Kind of making sense. Trying to do what I said before and not just talk about everything that previously happened. This is kind of what I'm looking for the week. Even with all the scribbles, hopefully that's kind of making a little bit of sense. Because I mean, from what I've noticed, learned, I guess, is price can move like this, or we can see price kind of move the range, break out of the range, come back, range, up, come down, range. And if you notice, we still haven't changed directions. So kind of what I'm looking for is just higher lows to get created after we have a target. And then if we range, just wait for the break of the range with the trend. If it breaks against the trend, first thing I'm thinking is fake out. We're just grabbing orders, liquidity to push out the top of the range to continue the higher time frame with the higher time frame trend. If I'm wrong and it does come down, which happens, it happened last week. I was not expecting this to break. I was expecting this to hold. This move down, I was expecting a fake out to then come up and push up. Price just came down, but so sometimes it doesn't work. It just kind of changes trend, I guess, for the week. Plus the month is ending, so that was also information. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Is once we get above here, 161, 426, we got this nice move up as well as this kind of strong range. So once we get above, we'll be back in the range, and we should fill to the top of the range, as well as moving out of here. So the two moves could take would be once price breaks here. I would put my stop if I were to do it. If this move happens in New York, I will take it. If it happens in Asian, I will not take it. First TP for me would be right there at those. That's terrible. Right here at these bodies. That would be my first kind of break-even secure point. The way I see this move happening is one candle up, break, fill the range, 1 hourly candle, maybe two. Or I see us pushing up, getting above, closing above, and then maybe we kind of push up halfway, and then we die out. Volume kind of just dies. It's Asian. If it does it in Asian, that would be more so what I'm leaning towards. Pullback, retest of this level. We have a high created. Once we get a bullish close on 30 or 1 hour, we can now start testing that high and then filling to the top of the range. But sometimes Asian has lots of volume, and those breakout candles will just, like here, like we got the breakout candle in Asian, little range. Granted, yeah, I guess that was London. That's kind of what I'm talking about. Is we get the break in Asian, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna move in Asian, and then the next candles are just like, nah, and then London volume, and we continue. So that's why I would be avoiding Asian, is because sometimes you get that Asian where it's like you get the break, you're like, yeah, okay, and then it's just like, nah, and then sometimes you just get Asian that just does this. It does the move. So it is not consistent enough for me for what I like. But that's pretty much it, is just get above this level. If you're looking for an impulse to scalp here to here, maybe 10, 20 pips, you could maybe get that in Asian, right at Asian Open with that. That would be at 20. Got about an hour, 10 minutes. Tokyo Open, and then catch that little bit of volume. Otherwise, safer, higher probability. Wait for the push, and then wait for that retest or higher low, and then target the high. That is what I'm waiting for, is a break up, target the high. If we come down, I'm not doing anything. So even if we like break here, we kind of have this, which still doesn't look great either, especially coming into all of this crap. Still nothing for me here. Nothing, because I'm seeing this whole move down as a higher time frame grab. So if price comes down and does this and makes a range, once we break above that range, those are buys right there to take back up with the anticipation that we are filling this range at some point in the uptrend that we are in. So if we do come down, so we got the buys plan. Last plan will be the sells, or if sells happen, how I'm going to move buys. So if we come down, what I'm looking for is price to basically do this. Looking for that, looking for a range over here, or the other thing like we talked about with that wick. If we break that wick, then I'm looking for the same thing down here. So we break down, we range, right? Once we change structure, even if it's not a strong range, if it's just, if we got bearish structure and it's kind of dying out, once we get that change of structure, I'm taking buys, stop underneath wherever the support is. Like it'll be like a 30-minute support. So like this support would have been good, or this support here. Once it cracked the highs, going under a 30-minute or 1 hour support. That's what I'm looking for, because I'm expecting that range to. This was the higher time frame pullback, creating a wick on the monthly, and then we get a range on the smaller time frame, 30 and 1 hour, and then once we break that, that was the pullback, break of the range. Now we're continuing with our trend. Or if we come back down here, same thing, range, get above, take it back up. Because the range is either going to continue with the trend if we break out the bottom, and if we do that, we'll not break out the top, other than a potential fake out. But you know what I'm saying. Same thing down here. We come down here, we do range. Change of structure happens. We break out to the top. Price should move up. Break out to the bottom, then we're still not going up yet. That's pretty much what I'm waiting for. Is break of these ranges, or if we break the range to the direction I'm not expecting or not wanting, then we wait for a range and a change of structure there. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I think there was a good example of it last week. 30-minute. So I can kind of show you. So here, this was one of the ones I took. Kind of the same thing, and this is more of just a structure change, not necessarily a big range. So if we're looking from Asian to here into New York, we're completely bearish. We did not break structure. We get a lower low, lower high. We kept coming down, right? And then we get these 1, 2, 3 candles, 4 candles that just go sideways. So structure at this point was kind of like this, and then like this, right? So if we're going bullish, get above there and change structure, which now means price is going like this. So that was the whole idea, was change of structure. Once price changed structure on the 30-minute, take a buy. And then this would be, so like the 30-minute support, this is the one I used, but you could also use here. I think both are depending on what R2R you're looking for. That's kind of what I would be ideally looking for. I took this one because it was just better R2R. It was my first secure point, so row 1 clean. Row 2, we have a little issue here, so my first secure point was right there at that body, which we tapped, and then right there we had a reaction. Came and retested. Right from there was where a reaction occurred, so we had another reaction here. Doesn't always, sometimes we just go with no reaction and perfect, but then you're at least prepared for if something does happen. And then we retested, and then we continued moving up for the week. So that's pretty much what I'm looking for, either this type of structure break or a heavier range and then a break. Also will work. That's pretty much it. So I got a plan for sells and buys, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. Maybe we get above here in Asian. If you like Asian, that could work. For me, I'm gonna just let that go and see where we're at come New York session, because that is what I've been studying all this information with. So any questions before I end it? I'm thinking Wednesday. Based on the information we get Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll do another one to make sure we are ready to capitalize Thursday and Friday. And then we'll see how this plan and how it ended up playing out. I'm expecting it should be a nice week. News. I'm not going to give any opinions on this, but it looks like it's Monday, so Tuesday. Tuesday looks good for New York session. I don't see anything that I'd be worrying about. Another more war stuff comes out. Yeah, we got to take that into account. We could safe haven getting really strong, which would then kind of mess up and change the plan for the analysis. Well, that Wednesday, pretty good, 9 a.m. I'm not even on the charts anymore. But crude oil inventories, DJ always moves really weirdly when that comes out, and then it gets a lot of volume. So I would just be careful with that. Thursday, still good. Friday, we got CAD. So GJ, you might see a spread change, some volume come in. But so I would say 7:15 to 7:30, and then be looking to make sure you're out by 7:15. We'll probably be ranging coming into this, and then once this comes out, we'll break out the range and continue. That's kind of what I've noticed. But it should be a pretty smooth week. At our NFP last week for our first week of the month, so the rest of the weeks of the month are usually pretty solid. So gonna wrap it up here. We got the plans. I'll get this. I'll get the timestamps on here. So if you joined late, give me 20 minutes, and I'll have the timestamps of kind of everything I went over, so you can just kind of sift through and look at the information you want to look at. But let's plan on Wednesday night doing another one to see what we've done Tuesday, Wednesday, and make sure we're on point for Thursday, Friday. So I will see you guys later.